Allowing a child to use puberty blockers is simply just transphobic. It just is what it is.
No, it's not. It's the child cannot provide informed consent.
There's no real reason not to.
It's irreversible. You can't come back from it.
Puberty blockers just allows a child to kind of freeze.
It doesn't allow the child to freeze. The child keeps developing. The child keeps growing. They will keep maturing. Hello, you sexy people. Welcome back. First video of 2023. This is I'll get 1,000 subscribers. You know what to do. Let's go straight in. Episode 20. Some of them happen so fast you don't even know what's going on. Having to misgender them every time I see their homophobic parents to protect them because they're 12. Oh. You're not protecting them. You think you're protecting them, but you're the person harming them. This is bad. Why? Why do children need to be sexualized? I'm not even talking about this anymore. I'm just going straight past it. I'm getting sick of saying it. I'm getting sick of saying it. And I've seen this one before. This is ridiculous. Are you ready for this?
Why? Stop. Why is this thing not hot? I swear to God, if anyone says welcome to womanhood, I'm gonna lose my shit.
It's interesting how little...
You don't have any ovaries, you don't have a uterus, you don't have fallopian tubes. How the hell are you getting period cramps? How does that work? That's like me kicking a woman in the balls. How? Just how?
cis people actually know about biological sex. Like, your chromosomes dictate everything and you'll never be a real boy or a real girl. Do you know how easy it is to completely change your body with hormones?
The fact that you've just said biological sex and then used real and real instead of the word biological, yeah, because you can never be a biological one. You've just, the idiocy on display.
I grew a penis within my first month of being on testosterone. I started having full-blown boy puberty around month 3 or 4. Trans women can grow breasts, exactly like cis women can. Trans women can lactate. Everything you think you know about how bodies are set in stone and can't be changed, you're literally just wrong.
Yeah, what you're arguing for there is that they can be sufficiently mutilated. That's what you're saying. That's like saying that like the Marines, the Astartes from Warhammer 40k, like it's possible, but are they still human? No, they're far from it. They're far from it. They're not a human anymore. So if you take a biological man and then you try and mutilate him into a woman, he will get close to being a woman, but he will never be that. It will never ever be that. You can't, just because you can modify and mutilate doesn't make it a good thing. And another thing is you can't detransition. It's a one-way street. You can't come back to where you started. There's no way to do it. So you can mutilate it and you can force it down a certain direction. Like I'm sure I could, with sufficient body modification, you can make yourself look like a cat, the cat man. Do you know what I mean? But he's not a cat.
I will no longer call a person queer if I don't see them participating in queer politic. You're gay, sure, you're gay. That is not the same as queer. If you haven't put a mask on in a week, not queer. You're just not queer. You're not. Queerness is supposed to be radical. It's supposed to be about supporting each other, helping each other, and making sure that we lift up from the most vulnerable of our community. A lot of you gays are not acting like queers right now, so I'm not gonna call you queer.
I did a gender reveal with both.
Smug mode.
Isn't that exactly what I said? Gay and queer are not the same thing. They've just said it. She, her, that woman previously. She's just said that gay and queer are not the same thing. They are not. If you are gay, that's just your sexual proclivity. You just like people that are the same sex as you. Oh well, right? But queerness is like a full-on political movement. They're two completely separate things. Like you can be gay and have a life, and then if you are queer, queer is your life. That's it. Full political activist mode. How dare you?
both of my children, but it's not something that I would do if we ever had another baby. And the reason why I'm against it is because you don't know your baby's gender. It's impossible to know a baby's gender. You can only know your baby's sex. Sex is about the physical characteristics. Gender is something that they decide for themselves. When I look back on the things that I did with my first baby, I cringe, but that's just what happens when you grow and evolve and learn more. If we have another baby, I will try my hardest to not find out the sex at all until the baby is born.
What makes somebody...
The key thing that you need to pick up in that one was, it's all about how you grow and learn more, right? How do you verify that what you have learned is correct? I could tell you anything. And if you believe it and start acting upon it, just because you believe it, does it make it good? Does it make it correct? How do you verify what you've learned? You can't. You're just going with the flow. It's called bandwagoning. Look it up.
fat phobic at the gym? Let's talk about it. Are you going to the gym so you can get a flat stomach? Or are you going to the gym so you can build a stable core and have better posture? Are you motivated to go to the gym so that you can lose weight? Or are you focused on increasing muscle and bone density? Do you only consider a workout good when you feel sore or tired the next day? Or do you look to feel energized and awake after working out? Are you prioritizing leg day because you want your butt to look super delicious? Or is it because you know strong glutes help protect your knees and your back? Wanting to work out does not make anyone fat phobic, but the motivations why you might go to the gym do.
All of the things that she have just listed are not mutually exclusive. I'm sorry guys, but we're going back through this and they're getting hit one by one because what she just said there was utter drivel.
Fat phobic at the gym.
Ready?
Let's talk about it. Are you going to the gym so you can get a flat stomach? Or are you going to the gym so you can build a stable core and have better posture?
Both of them. I'm going for both of them. I want a flat stomach so that my clothes fit me better. I'm already a strange shape. I'm 6 foot and needly. I'm already a weird shape, right? So I'm getting a flat stomach so that things fit me better. And I'm stabilising my core because I'm going to be a father soon. I'll be a father in 2 or 3 years if all my chess moves go to plan. So I need to have a stable core to be able to do this with an infant. So I'm doing it for both. They're not mutually exclusive. Next one.
Are you motivated to go to the gym so that you can lose weight? Or are you focused on increasing muscle and bone density?
Both of them. They are not mutually exclusive. I would actually argue that it's impossible or practically impossible to do one without the other. There's no way that you are going to build muscle mass without burning some fat. And there's no way that you are going to burn some fat without gaining some muscle mass along the way. They are not mutually exclusive. If anything, they are bound together. This woman doesn't have a clue what she's talking about while shoving a face full of food.
Do you only consider a workout good when you feel sore or tired the next day? Or do you look to feel energized and awake after working out?
Again, both. If I work out and then the next day my biceps feel slightly sore, if I struggle to put a t-shirt on because my pecs are slightly strained, if I can't walk down the stairs because my quads are going to fail, I know I've worked out sufficiently enough. But I also get the chemical releases on the day that I exercise. So I exercise today, get all the chemical releases, come and film this video. Tomorrow, wake up slightly sore, train again, get the chemical release and just keep bouncing. That's what happens. They're not mutually exclusive. I don't understand what she's saying. I don't. Oh my God.
Are you prioritizing leg day because you want your butt to look super delicious? Or is it because you know strong glutes help protect your knees and your back?
I'm doing it for both reasons. So that I can actually get a decent shape, so I can get energized, so I can... I'm not even talking about this woman anymore. This is bad.
Wanting to work out does not make anyone fat phobic, but the motivations why you might go to the gym do.
Hi, my name is Sarah. My pronouns are she, her, they, and them. What are your pronouns?
Lord and righteous ruler of the entire galaxy.
See, do you see how easy that is, people? All you have to do is ask somebody what their pronouns are, and then, I don't know, just respect it.
But what if their pronouns are ridiculous?
It is really not that hard of a concept.
But you need to flesh it out a bit more.
And for all those people out there making it like a big, huge deal.
Because language has been formed over thousands of years and you're now taking a sledgehammer to it.
You look like an idiot.
No, I don't.
It's really not. It's called respect.
But at what point does logic dictate respect?
Right? Respect.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
So let's try this again. Hi, my name is Sarah. My pronouns are she, her, they, them. What are your pronouns?
Learn daily. Destroyer of libs.
Let's be friends.
Hi,
No.
my name is Samuel, and I am a canine Therian. But what does this mean? A Therian is somebody who identifies as wholly or partially non-human, specifically as a non-human animal from this earth. Now, there are other forms of non-humans, and a person could identify as being non-human for a plethora of psychological or spiritual reasons. For me, I'm not sure which it is. I used to be certain that it was purely psychological due to neurodivergency. However, as I started to delve into my spirituality, I started to question if it was maybe a past life that affects my ultra humanity. Either way, I feel a disconnect from other humans and to the part of my brain and soul that feels human. Instead, I feel like a dog or a wolf, which I know is extraordinarily common.
So this is what I
So, how is that going to help you in your daily life? How is it, like, this is one thing, like, I just want to jump a little bit further ahead, right? How is understanding that you identify as wolf self, how is that going to benefit you in the real world? I can't think of any reason you would even, like, assume that that's beneficial. To me, as a rational adult, it just seems like you're uncertain of yourself and you're eating into your own delusion. That's what it seems like. This is why this series is called Madness. This is why, people, because this is what madness looks like. Look up the definition of madness, then come back here and tell me I'm wrong.
what I mean when I say that I feel unsafe if someone is misgendering me or is actively misgendering other people. Safety is relative, right? And violence isn't only physical in nature. Emotional and psychological violence both exist. And when I have made it clear what my pronouns are and that I'm like a genderqueer trans person, and someone decides to ignore that, and then deliberately will like misgender me, that is a form of violence because they are enacting a something that is hurtful toward me on purpose. And violence like that makes me feel unsafe because I don't know what else that person is necessarily capable of and what kind of harm, psychological or otherwise, it could then later inflict on me. That's what I mean.
3 ways that you can...
Right. So what you're advocating for is a world in which where people aren't allowed to say things that hurt other people's feelings. That's what you're advocating for. So if somebody were to misgender you, you would feel threatened because they said a word that hurt you. Yes? Right. So if we apply that to every single human being on the planet so that everybody's emotions and everybody's feelings are validated, and if anybody says anything that hurts anyone, they should stop talking, right? You following me? So if I say something like, I can't believe how brown that tree is, and then all the brunettes get offended, right? Or I say, I can't believe how tall that branch is, and someone says, oh, well, I'm thin, that offended me. What you're going to create is a world where we all just have to sit there quietly and not talk, because I could say anything to offend you. Anything at all. I could say, oh, the weather's nice today. No, it's not. My grandfather died in a storm. That's really offensive. Like, everything becomes offensive at that point. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to break a barrier that's been there for years, which held language in place, and now everything's going to become offensive. Every single thing. Like, I can't sit here and wear an Adidas t-shirt because somebody's dad was killed by an Adidas truck. So now this t-shirt is offensive merely for having that logo on because it brings psychological trauma back to that person. You guys, you can't see the wood for the trees. Like, you're the kind of people that would fight for these laws and then, like, complain when the laws come for you. That's the kind of people that you are. Like, this is ridiculous.
Can make your classroom a little bit more inclusive to LGBTQIA plus students this coming up school year. 1, let's get rid of boy-girl classrooms going into next school year. Okay, you can divide your students by animal names, by different colors. You can organize your students by table numbers. You can do a lot of different things without buying into that gender binary that students, regardless of if they can verbalize it, may not quite fit into. Number 2, assuming a child's gender also tells you what kind of games they want to play or what kind of toys that they're going to be into does a disservice for exposing your children to all the different types of play and relationships that they can form in a school setting. 3, representation matters. In the way that we ferociously try to represent all of the different cultural identities of our students, I think we should also do that with their LGBTQIA plus identities, whether that be gender expression, what their families might look like, and more.
I like that little Trojan horse that got slipped in there. So I agree with the first point. Boy and girl lines, unless they are known for causing trouble, there's no reason to separate children, basically. So yeah, he's right. You could sort them by table numbers. You could separate them into groups, and you could have yellow table, blue table, green table. You could sort them out that way, because I think that's what we did at my primary school. And then the second point was like breaking the gender role stereotypes and stuff, because if a little boy wants to play with a doll of like Barbie, or a little girl wants to play with like fucking guns and stuff, like that's perfectly fine. They're just exploring the world. It doesn't mean anything. So I agree with both of those points. Yes, well played. And then he slipped in representation matters. So I want to be able to show your children all this stuff about the LGBT community. So if you're going to educate children about all this LGBTQ stuff, there's no way to do it without the stuff being sexual, because the entire subject is a sexual subject. There's no way to do it, right? Explain to a child what homosexuality is without talking about sex or sexual attraction. Do it now. Write a comment. Explain homosexuality without talking about sex, because that's what homosexuality is about. It's like talking about architecture and never talking about structural integrity. It's like you can't do it. So there's no way to be representative of the LGBT community without being overly sexual to children. So if children, when they get to like 16, 17, 18 and they start to discover the world and that a bit more, depending on local laws, you might be able to expose them to certain stuff. Like pornography is 18 across the board. So if you want to show them anything overtly sexual, they need to be 18. They need to be 18. So if you want to be pushing this stuff, you could push it at colleges and I wouldn't have a problem, because you're pushing it on adults. You do it to adults that can view this material, I don't care. But you're doing it to like 8-year-olds. And why are you pushing it so hard on the youngsters? That's what I want to know. Why does it matter so much that you do it to the youngsters? Why aren't you trying to convince adults of this stuff? Why aren't you coming for the adults to teach the adults, so the adults via osmosis pass it to their children? Why are you going for the youngest, most easily moldable mind in a family? It just seems a bit sus to me, that's all.
Walk with me through lovely San Francisco. This is not an anomaly. This is practically every flat street near public transportation. Stolen bikes and echoes of the previous night's mental breakdown are omnipresent. These homeless are almost all drug addicts, most of them unpredictable, posing a serious threat to children, elderly, and women. Our empathy is what keeps them here. Tough love is what they need. God save San Francisco and all of these once great cities.
That is a very, very, very good point, that our empathy is keeping them there. Tough love is what they need. If we weren't like, that's basically down the road of, you might not be giving them the drugs, but you're enabling it by letting them do it somewhere. It's a very complicated issue, that. But I understand that it's complicated and there's two sides, because one of my recent subs, Assie, was commenting about bug spray. And I understand that you want rid of them. I really do. Because they are dangerous, incredibly dangerous. Because if you give somebody a drug that possesses the soul, like heroin or something like that, and then they would sell their grandmother for their next fix. So seeing somebody else's grandmother in the street with a pearl necklace or a handbag, it's easy prey, and I do understand it. But I don't know what we're going to do. I'm autistic. I don't know enough about society to be talking about that. I'm here to try and bring logic in. That's all I'm good at. And when it comes to that, I can't see a logical way out of that, because tough love would be ethically questionable. But then so's the empathy. I mean, allowing them to destroy themselves is just as bad, is it not? So that's a complicated one for far greater minds than me to solve. Whoa! What is going on? Why is this is becoming too common? Jesus!
Ain't nobody see it. Shut the fuck up. Whatever you just said, bitch.
I don't know, sir. You think so? You on here? You entertain? You having a good time? Have a good time. Laughing, joking. Who the fuck is you, bitch? Me to be here and get you some shit for your motherfucking teeth, you gay bitch. Get off my dick. Bitch, they got two-faced girl Friday on my dick. I'm about glass C1 cloud. Bitch, I go live with everything, bitch. Who gives a fuck? What?
What happened? Is there baby wipes in here?
Girl, we don't got no kids. I don't know, bitch. Go find that shit. We don't work here, bitch. We ain't here stealing like you.
Baby wipes in the back.
Bitch.
You right now.
Yeah, girl, just hold on. They just pissed me off on the
Get your dick out your stomach, faggot. Why you mad?
Yeah, okay.
Why you mad?
Okay.
Fuck is you mad? We getting it how we get it. Fuck is you talking about? We ain't sitting on our ass, bitch. Come do it like us.
Okay. Oh, yeah, period.
And we drinking on they shit in they store. And we live in they shit. And what the fuck is you gonna do, bitch? You act like the police.
Okay.
So I live in Buffalo.
Self-snitching, like on a live stream, being rather homophobic, stealing live, drinking it live on the camera. This is pure degeneracy. I don't know what's happening. Looting and stealing during the blizzard. Yeah, this is terrible.
This is a 33. This is my car that's been buried in all of this fucking snow since last week. And this is outside my granny's house. A tree that's been there since my aunt was a child. Safe to say that it's a fucking shit show out there, right? Here go y'all cum goblins who don't even live in the fucking city. Which, by the way, the Q-tip people are the last ones to ever talk about somebody stealing anything. Y'all wouldn't be in this country had it not been for y'all stealing it. So y'all are more focused on people looting and trying to get necessities and things that they need. And yes, a TV is a fucking necessity thing. Than the people who are literally freezing to death in their own home, freezing to death outside because this city did not shut down the way it should have. Byron Brown want to get on here and talk about, we told y'all, we knew this was gonna happen, but why didn't you close businesses when you should have? Why you got everybody rushing home at noon when the fucking storm is starting and now people are literally dying in their cars because they can't see. And yeah, it was that fucking bad. I went out like at 8 o'clock in the morning before it started, and by the time I got out of Wegmans, right, it was like maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock, and it was fucking bad. And that was just the beginning of the storm. So if you don't live in Buffalo, even if you do live in Buffalo, you feel like you're better than because people are out here stealing and you would never. First of all, if you are a Mayo monster, that is how your ancestors got everything, from stealing. People are out here trying to get toilet paper. People are out here trying to get, just small little food from Family fucking Dollar, and y'all gotta fucking fuck capitalism. Steal everything that you need, babe. Because at the end of the day, this city continuously fails us whenever we have any type of emergency. Byron, do better, bitch.
I don't understand how it's okay. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, black people feel like they can be really racist to white people, and Asian people feel like they can be really racist to white people. But if a white person did it the other way around, so I'm apparently a cum goblin and apparently a Mayo monster, but if I say anything about her, I'd immediately be thrown under the bus. It's just complete rampant hypocrisy. The reason that racism is alive is because the people that feel like their ancestors were oppressed are now oppressing the people who descended from the people who did the oppressing. Work that one out.
So health professionals have a critical role to play. We must continue and to expand their work to address health misinformation directly with their patients. Now, this includes, but it goes beyond COVID-19. So I'd like to just talk briefly about another area of substantial misinformation that is directly impacting health equity in our nation, and that is the health equity of sexual and gender minorities. There is substantial misinformation about gender-affirming care for transgender and gender-diverse individuals. We are in this nation facing an onslaught of anti-LGBTQI+ actions at the state levels across the United States, and they are dangerous to the public health. The positive value of gender-affirming care for youth and adults is not in scientific or medical dispute. So we all need to work together to get our voices out in the front line. We need to get our voices in the public eye. And we know how effective our medical community can be talking to communities, whether it's at town halls, schools, conversations with others. And we need to use our clinicians' voice to collectively advocate for our tech companies to create a healthier, cleaner information environment. During a moment when public trust in our leaders and our information is very challenged, the healthcare worker community, the medical community does, I believe, maintain a high degree of trust, and we have to utilize that, and we have to utilize it effectively.
Again, how do you verify or vindicate what you are affirming is correct, right? So Ben Shapiro, I say it all the time, he had that old adage about his granddad or his uncle or someone, I think it was his granddad, who had schizophrenia, and he used to think the radio was talking to him when the radio was turned off, right? So should we affirm that delusion? And if not, if we should affirm gender dysphoria, we should affirm that, right? But we shouldn't affirm paranoid schizophrenia. That means that between those 2 points, there is an area where we stop. So this is okay, this is okay, this is questionable, we should stop, no, we definitely shouldn't do this. Where's that line? Because there doesn't seem to be one. It just seems to be, this is okay, gender affirmation, whatever somebody believes, let them believe it and affirm it. How do you know what you're affirming is correct? How do you know it's healthy? And it's not in medical dispute. It's a recent thing. So we've known about transgenderism for centuries, and this is concrete science.
Allowing a child to use puberty blockers is simply just transphobic. It just is what it is.
No, it's not. It's the child cannot provide informed consent.
There's no real reason not to.
It's irreversible. You can't come back from it.
Puberty blockers just allows a child to kind of freeze.
It doesn't allow the child to freeze. The child keeps developing. The child keeps growing. They will keep maturing. Once they hit 25, the rate of growth that an 11-year-old on puberty blockers and the rate of growth that a 25-year-old will receive are different. That's what growth spurts are. They will grow. They will still develop. It doesn't freeze anything. All it does is block the puberty and prevent it from happening so that when they become an adult, they're androgynous. That's all that it does.
Allows their look to freeze, to stay in place.
Their look. Because looks are skin deep and it's got nothing to do with your chromosomal makeup.
It gives them more time, essentially, to decide whether they want to go further with any medical transition.
So it gives them more time to make a decision which they've already made. Because the moment you take puberty blockers, it's irreversible. So it gives the child more time, after making an irreversible decision, it gives them more time to decide what they're going to do with their next irreversible decision. When they are a child and don't understand what irreversible decisions are.
At any point while using puberty blockers, a child can stop.
Child can stop, but not revert back to the previous state.
And essentially just have the natural puberty that they would have, but a few years later.
So they miss out on all of those years of puberty. So if you take puberty blockers from the age of 11 to the age of 17, you will only get 3 or 4 years of growth puberty, and then you'll get another few years of like mental matureness. That's it. So you're blocking puberty and preventing it happening. How is preventing something happening, right, the same as pausing it? They're called blockers. They're not pauses.
But a lot of people evolve differently as far as puberty. You know, it seems like some people don't hit puberty until they get in their 20s.
So that means it's okay to mutilate children.
And puberty blockers will essentially allow a gender variant child the opportunity to wait until they get older to go through a puberty.
They're acting like puberty blockers are a harmless first little step that you can come back from. Once you take puberty blockers, you have done irreversible damage to yourself. Once the dose is high enough and you've been on it for long enough and you've taken them and you've started to see changes, that damage is irreversible, right? So it's not just a harmless little first step that gives them more time. No, you're rushing them into it because you know once they're on the puberty blockers, chances are they're going to continue forward and you're going to get paid, homie. That's what's happening.
It's no big deal. Puberty blockers don't cause breast development. Puberty blockers don't affect anybody's voice. They essentially...
Yes, they do. Because my voice, if I was on puberty blockers, my voice would still sound like it was when I was like a young boy. So puberty blockers prevent my voice from developing deeper. So it affects my voice. Just outright lies.
Stay in that childlike look, their own childlike look, for a little longer. Then if you don't let your child go on puberty blockers, then you'd be embarrassed. Little trans girl sounded like Caitlyn Jenner.
So I'm supposed to transition my child for my embarrassment.
Be scared to take the child in public, want to pretend that she's deaf.
So now you're trying to fear me. You're trying to convince me that there's nothing wrong with puberty blockers. Now you're trying to pressure me and use social pressure to make me feel like I would have a problem if my child was dressing like a girl and sounding like a boy. My child wouldn't be dressing like a girl if they were a boy.
Got the little trans boy out here clocky.
Don't nobody want to be clocky. Ain't nobody trying to be clocky because we got to deal with so much bullshit in this superficial society and being clocky. Or pretend that the trans child don't exist. I've seen a lot of that in my work.
And then the condescending look at the end. So that entire video there was trying to convince me that puberty blockers are fine. There's nothing wrong with them. If I don't put my child on puberty blockers, I'm going to be embarrassed. I'm going to be a monster. And then I'm just going to pretend the child doesn't exist. No. It's just, I wouldn't let my child have access to the internet, especially TikTok. TikTok is the worst thing that's happened to the next generation of our children. That is the worst thing that's happened to them. That's why I make this series. Hopefully, a few people see this and think, do you know what? Fuck that. I'm getting my kids' TikTok deleted. If one person comments on this video and says, because of you, I deleted my child's TikTok, I will consider that fucking victory. Everything I've done, the 20 videos, all the other videos, I'll consider it victory if one person says, yeah, I've deleted my kid's TikTok. I can't believe this shit's on there. That's what I want, because it's terrible. Look at the condescending look on her. Stupid bitch. Doesn't have a clue what she's talking about.
But you ain't doing yourself no favors, you ain't doing the child no favors, and you're not changing their mind. By not letting a child go on puberty blockers, somebody who is trans and will transition, by not letting them go on puberty blockers, you're essentially just making it harder for them to transition. They're going to likely end up getting more plastic surgery or being more insecure with the way that they look as an adult.
So, transition them young. Because if you don't transition your child young, it's going to get more expensive, you see. So take Jimmy now, pump him full of chemicals, and then when Jimmy becomes Jimina and he gets his little breast buds and that and his voice doesn't change, you've saved yourself thousands and thousands of dollars on surgeries.
What's the point of that? Give your trans child the best opportunity at life as possible.
Now, there's no reason to give any children any reason to be trans. And talk with your eyes open, please.
Puberty blockers help to offer that. It's not a big deal. It's really not.
That's problematic!
Puberty blockers aren't a big deal. They're just not. Indeed, that is very problematic, Rob. Thanks for watching it to the end, guys. I'm amazed you made it this far. Peace.